This is Module 8, Case Problem 3, Barrett Furniture Rentals. The first thing we're going to do is open the data file Rentals and rename it. So open it and say File Save As. You guys are all familiar with this stuff, so I guess I don't have to talk through it. The most important thing to remember at the beginning of the stuff that we take for granted is to select and unmerge all the cells, because that's a problem. And I believe I said something before about creating a macro for this. Here's the problem. You're not always merging the same number, you're not always center across selection for the same number of columns, so it doesn't really work. It's just one of those things you have to do manually. But there are some shortcuts that I have shown you throughout that will make it a little easier. I will remind you at every opportunity. I don't like the color, but I'm going to leave it. I assume you guys have noticed that this happens, but just in case you haven't, when you type equals H lookup, as we're instructed to do in instruction number 3, see how it asks for lookup value? Well, it's telling you what it wants. So what it wants is furniture, and that is going to be in this column, which I believe is named furniture. Okay, so we're going to do an H lookup, which is essentially the same as a V lookup, only it's H. So it's horizontal instead of vertical. Now the lookup value, so what we want to base this on is what we are going to use to connect the two things. So that will be this. And then we hit comma. And if you notice, Excel tells you the next thing that it wants, which is a table array. And that's going to be on the rental information sheet. So we're going to look these values up based on this furniture group right here. And I believe it's called furniture group. Let's see. It's not something we're supposed to name it. Okay, so you're going to want to look up based on the furniture, and you're going to want to look it up over here on the rental data worksheet. Rental information worksheet. Just like everything else in Excel, to get to the next step, comma, the row index number that we're going to be looking for over here, it's going to be, since we're going horizontal instead of vertical, it's going to be 2. Comma, and it's going to be exact match, false, as it is in most cases. Except that if you get that message. So when you click false, all of this will fill in automatically because you put the column heading of furniture in here, and by selecting that named column, that's how that worked out. So now we can go to instruction number 4 in column H, create a formula using the if and VLOOKUP functions to calculate rental charges. Hint, for the if function, use one VLOOKUP function for 3 months and another for 9 months. So we're going to have nested if statements and VLOOKUP combo. Okay, so we're going to go to rental fees. Start with equal if. again, if you pay attention, it tells you what information it needs. It needs the logical test, which means that it needs a rental period, comma, take us to the next step. So what do we want the value to be if it's true? We want the value to be the lookup. So it's very similar to the last assignment, that the nested if, the lookup is nested inside the if statement. And so what do we want it to look up? That's how we have to connect it. So the lookup value that it's looking for is, so we want it to look up based on the group code right here. But we want to do the whole column. So if we go like this, oops, I'm sorry. We should actually just write group in there. Let's just take this out. I'm not even sure why that goes in there. I've never, oh, the at sign needs to go. Honestly, I can't remember the reason why, but I remember that the formulas won't work. Okay, so here's where we nest it. Now we go VLOOKUP, and so we're into the full controls for VLOOKUP. We don't even pay attention to the if right now. And then the lookup value for the VLOOKUP is also the group code, which will be this. I really don't know why it adds these extra symbols.